Welcome to the video tutorial of My Tip Report, a tool for real-time feedback on milestones and procedural skills. TIP standing for Training for Independent Practice. Feedback is defined as informed, non-evaluative objective appraisal of performance intended to improve clinical skills. Direct observations of performance and resultant feedback are critical to successful progression to independent practice. Workplace feedback has become increasingly significant with the ACGME launch of the NEXT accreditation system. This system has a renewed focus on educational outcomes. With the ACGME required milestones, which serve as a blueprint for curriculum development and assessment practice including feedback, workplace feedback will take on increasing importance. This workplace feedback could prove challenging for milestones for many reasons. One such reason is the sheer number of milestones or sub-competencies on which feedback is necessary. Looking at the numbers of milestone sets by specialty type, one sees the hospital-based specialties with 12 to 25 milestone sets, the medical specialties with a little over 20 milestone sets each, and the surgical-based specialties with numbers of milestone sets ranging from as few as 16 to as many as 41. This presents program directors and clinical competency committees with a very practical challenge when it comes to assessing residents and their milestone progress. Looking at the math, if a program has 28 residents in a specialty with 28 milestone sets, each containing 10 milestones, that presents 7,840 data points on a semi-annual basis. So the challenges to providing workplace feedback include providing milestone feedback, in addition to duty hour limitations, shorter time with trainees, and increased pressures for clinical efficiencies. To address this long-standing challenge to workplace feedback, particularly in the new milestones era, My TIP report was developed as an innovative solution. TIP standing for Training for Independent Practice. This program was built to address milestone assessments across all ACGME specialties, with sponsorship from the Foundation for Excellence in Women's Health. My TIP report was built to address the absence of efficient, accessible mechanisms for real-time feedback. What My TIP report actually is a web-based program for real-time right-now feedback on ACGME required milestones and procedural skills. The program allows for feedback when you work, where you work. The program can be used on any web-enabled device, including a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Mobile apps are available for free download from both the Apple and Android app stores. To access My TIP report on a computer with internet access, navigate to mytipreport.org. The program was built for educators by educators. The program again was built to facilitate effective feedback, and it allows for a review of past performance, creation of today's learning plan, use of specific rating scales, documentation of today's learning, and tracking of learners' progress. A demonstration of My TIP report and its web-based format seen here is the home page for My TIP report. The user signs in by entering an email address and then a password, and then choosing Sign In. The program then opens. One can see this is the OBGYN demo site with milestones, procedures, rotations, reports, admin, user, and logout functions seen here on the left. My TIP report for real-time milestones feedback. To focus on the milestone feature of the program, Milestones tab is selected, and all of the program's learners appear by name, as well as the number of times they have received milestone feedback and the last time they received such feedback. One sees an orange tab up here saying you have 2 open requests. This indicates to the faculty member that residents have requested feedback and that this feedback encounter is ready for completion. In this demonstration, I am working with Ben, and so Ben is selected, and what appears is a listing of all of the specialty-specific milestones organized by competency, the number of times Ben has received feedback on each of those milestone sets, as well as the level he has achieved to date. So for this example, Ben and I are working together on the milestone set communication with physicians and other health professionals. We can see Ben has received feedback 14 times on this milestone set. It is selected, and what appears is a summary of Ben's progress to date. He's received feedback 14 times, and one can see each of the milestones comprising this subset listed and a demonstration of what Ben, again, has demonstrated to date. Options available include starting new feedback, so this is selected. And what appears is the milestone set by name, the faculty and resident name, and the date. The venue where the learner and teacher are working is selected, and then the milestone set can be reviewed prior to work. If this occurs, yes is selected. The clinical work is then done, and the teacher and the learner then simply check what Ben demonstrated during the course of that work. If Ben did not demonstrate a particular milestone, the row is left blank. If a particular milestone was not applicable to the setting of the morning or afternoon, not applicable is selected. This summarizes what Ben demonstrated in the clinical setting that day. Additional comments can be made, and Submit Evaluation can be selected when the evaluation is complete. Returning to Ben's summary page, one can then see where Ben previously had feedback 14 times, 15 feedback encounters are now recorded, and in selecting Activity Feed, past feedback is then listed in reverse chronological order, including the feedback encounter that was just recorded for this demonstration. My tip report for real-time procedural skill feedback. Now, focusing on the procedural ability of the program, Procedures tab is then selected. A listing of all learners, how many times they've received feedback on procedures overall, and when they last used the program again is listed. In this case, again, Ben and I are working together. Ben is selected, and what appears is a listing of all of the specialty-specific procedures that the program has chosen to enter. The procedures are listed, the number of times the learner has received feedback, and the level achieved to date. In this case, the Dreyfus scale is shown with level abilities ranging from novice to expert. My tip report also has the capability to record performance by level of supervision using the Swish scale. This decision would be at the discretion of the program. So for this example, Ben and I are working together on a loop electrosurgical excision procedure. This procedure is selected, and a summary of Ben's performance over the past 5 procedures is listed here. The procedure is broken down into 10 key steps. These key steps can be customized by program. New feedback is entered by selecting Start Evaluation. Again, the procedure, the faculty, teacher, and the learner appear. The date also appears. The indication can be entered. And then the learner and teacher do a pre-procedural key step review. If this is performed, this is selected. And then the teacher and learner actually do the work. Afterwards, they sit together and record just how Ben performed on each of the key steps. After this, the teacher and the learner give an overall rating for the learner's performance on the procedure. They can also then type in some additional qualitative comments reflecting on what went well and what could be improved. When these comments are entered, Submit Evaluation can then be selected, and the evaluation is then stored for future review. In returning to Ben's procedural summary page, one can see where previously he had feedback 5 times on this procedure. That is now updated to 6. His ability level is summarized here. And in selecting this particular procedure and selecting activity feed, again, in reverse chronological order, Ben's feedback is listed. Seen here is the demonstration feedback just entered for the purposes of this video. Other features of My TIP report include the rotations feature seen here. A learner is selected, and then program-specific rotations entered by the individual program are seen listed. A rotation is selected, allowing for rotation-specific feedback on rotation-assigned milestones and surgical procedures. This allows for feedback to be reviewed and generated in the same fashion demonstrated previously. Seen here is feedback being given on a particular milestone set. As such, feedback can be given off of the milestones, the procedures, or the rotations tab. Also available in My TIP report are reports and administrative features. These reports include faculty and resident dashboards that can be used to track faculty and resident use of the program for completion of milestone and procedural feedback in a timely fashion. Another report, particularly helpful to both program directors and clinical competency committees, is the resident class summary. This is selected, and then a particular class is selected, and what appears are all of the residents of that particular class, as well as all of the specialty-specific milestone sets. What is summarized here is milestone level achieved to date as recorded by feedback entered into My TIP report. This report has proven helpful to many clinical competency committees by providing an overview at a single glance of milestone level achieved to date across a residency class for each of the milestone subcompetency areas. Another helpful administrative feature is the rotations feature, whereby programs can add individual rotations. The Add Rotation button is selected, and the new rotation is named. A rotation director is then selected, and then milestones to be associated with the rotation are then selected, and the toggle button is selected to move to procedures to be associated with the rotation. Once all of the desired milestones and procedures have been selected, Save Rotation is opted for, and the new rotation is successfully saved and appears amongst the list of other previously assigned rotations. In selecting this rotation, one sees the assigned milestones as well as the assigned procedures. Another way to confirm that the milestones and procedures have been appropriately assigned is to rotate back to the Rotations tab, select a learner, select the rotation, and again instantly the assigned milestones and procedures appear. For teachers and learners, My TIP report enables real-time on-site feedback between teachers and learners, captures and reviews important milestone and procedural skills progress, and lastly allows both teachers and learners to review past recorded feedback. For program directors, My TIP report generates reports that identify focus areas for learners, encourages participation from teachers, and facilitates reporting of milestone progress to the ACGME in a fraction of the time. Feedback using the program takes roughly 2 to 5 minutes to complete. Information is entered via computer, tablet, or smartphone. My tip report addresses all specialty-specific milestones as well as specialty-specific procedures. The program can be used in any ACGME accredited specialty with ACGME copyright permission granted to use all specialty milestone sets. Important features of the program include password protection, no patient-protected information entered into the program, customization to the specialty, and allowing for real-time access to feedback and milestone and procedural skill progress. Additional basic YouTube video tutorials have been generated with websites listed here. If you have any questions about the program, please feel free to contact either of the individuals listed here.